Hello everyone, this is Kieran Hovasapian from Filmstorm Studios, and this is an exclusive tutorial for my Patreon subscribers. And I'm going to actually cover the main setup of the cover system, the third-person cover system. So let me just jump into here and we'll give you a quick preview of what it's basically the same demo that you can see on the main YouTube channel. So you're running around, you can press B and go into cover, and then I've actually done a little bit more implementation since then, so you can actually hold the left trigger while you're on the edge and push, and you can actually pop out, as well as now still all the vaulting, and you can come into cover and then come out around, bits and pieces like that. So that is pretty much what we'll quickly go over today, and then we'll probably do a more in-depth tutorial in the future. So let me just pop the controller down. Alrighty, so let's go into our player, and this player is pretty much set up as the same third-person character that you can probably find in the YouTube channel. I think it's third-person character tutorial, probably system 1, and that will actually show you how to get to this stage. And all the camera, you don't have to worry about the camera, that's all the same setup. The shooter model, under here I've actually got in here we've got a movement FSM, and I'll show you what that looks like. It's a little bit complicated. So basically I just have a start thing, and if I need to put any more variables in here, such as like a starting health variable, or maybe say the new level starts and he's been taking some damage, I can set starting variables in here. So it's always a good thing to have this, like a little first node for each level. And then I have the movement. This pretty much pushes anything to like the roll, to jumping, and to the different vaults. I've actually got the high vault, the high cover, which makes him go like around the cover, and then I've also got the low cover, which it handles all of this low cover objects. So let's just have a quick look at what I've got going on here. So this is pretty much the same as the third-person character tutorial that I was explaining before. We've got all of these balls, and I'll show you how they're set up, but we're going to kind of more cover the cover system itself, because we get the axis and then we convert that to set the animator float, and then in the animator we get the floats, which is the input X and the input Z, and then that drives the actual animation. So this is the starting one. It's just a basic rifle idle down, and then it goes to a movement blend tree, which is really simple. Pretty much anywhere you push will make him move. Even though he'll run straight, we actually use a input direction compass to actually tell him which way to rotate and run that direction. And it's actually the same thing that the Uncharted series uses in their animation blend trees. Okay, so that's pretty much that. And then pretty much whenever we set, let me show you, whenever we click the button down to roll, where is our get button down? Get button to dodge, which is B, or I think it's V on the keyboard, or you can make it space or whatever you want. It will send another ball, which will actually drive an animation. And I've actually also made one that will test if he was going into cover, and if he was, then he doesn't roll, he'll just go back and then go into cover. So he doesn't do like a semi-roll and then he'll do the real roll. It just kind of stops the animations from blending together and stuffing up. And then you can see we set the animator ball to dodge, which then in turn drives to dodge to turn on true. So you can see I've got the movement here, and if he was running and then to dodge is true, he will blend into a roll, which is pretty cool, huh? And then he'll go back, and then you can actually come out of a roll, and if you press jump, he can trigger into the jump as well. So that's how all of that system works. So now let's go down and talk about how I set up the main thing you want to be finding out about, is the cover. So I have all these custom animations, and here we have him going into low cover. It's just a basic animation, one to another. There's no special blend trees or anything, it's just this animation to this animation with like a couple of seconds. I've kind of tweaked it so it makes it a little bit faster. And the most important thing when you're doing transitions is to never have has exit time on. You always want to try and make a condition, because say I didn't have has exit time, if I sent this to be true with this clicked on, I'd have to wait for this whole 10-15 second animation to play out, and then he will go into cover. So that's very important. So having this off allows him to play this animation at any time during this whole animation, and because this is looped, this will keep playing forever until you press this, and then this will actually trigger. So that's pretty much how conditions work. Conditions are very important to have here, and then turn this guy off. And you can also do really precise transitions and transition durations up in this settings bar. And you can even have interruption sources as well from states that come before it as well, but I don't really use them because they'll just drive me insane eventually, trying to figure out which one goes to where. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. And then I've got the low cover to low, so that basically takes this cover to here into just a stationary cover, so that way when we're in cover we can push either direction. And this is actually a blend tree, so while he's, let me move the camera, so this is kind of what you see in game. He might be here. Drag this out, close this guy. So basically I'm just showing you how to set up the animations, because this is theoretically what you're going to do first, and then we'll do all the code for it. So here we have this guy, he's in cover, and if you press play, he will start looping like we're in gameplay. If you push left on the left stick, he'll start moving along the cover, and then if you push right on the right stick, he'll move right. So technically in the game, if you push right, he'll just continue moving right until, so we need to have a bit of code to actually tell him when to stop moving, which we do in here. So we have cover pop out left, and basically all this guy is I've taken out the left movement. So no matter how much you push it to the left, once we trigger him to stop moving, when you start pushing left, it's impossible for him to move left. So I think I've just moved that guy 0.08. Perfect. So that is the reason. But you can, when he's finished moving left, you can move him back right again. So that's important to have that there. And then vice versa on this side. You can move him. You can move him back to the left. So let me bring him to the front. You can move him back to the left, but you can't move him anymore right. So let me just show you what the code looks like for this, so you kind of get an understanding of what I'm talking about. Let's jump back to the scene, and you can actually see on our character, I've got these little detectors going on. So the high cover detector, this basically, when I click B, it will actually shoot a ray in front of him to see if the cover is going to be high, which basically, so you can pretty much see this will shoot above that, but it will actually hit this high wall here, so it's going to say it's a high cover. And then when he's moving along the cover, we actually have these left and right cover pop out positions, which basically shows if I'll just jump over here into gameplay again, and I'll move him over and get him into cover, and I'll jump out of, I might actually have to jump out of that maximize on play, that so I can click on the different tabs. There we go. So I'll move him over and I'll click that one. Alrighty, so you can see these little guys. I might split that. Okay, so you can see this guy moving. This is the left cover pop out. So when this guy goes past the edge of the cover, the ray that we're shooting will stop. Will stop him. So see how that is actually past the cover, just past the cover. So now he can't move anywhere. So now he can move back, and then he can't move anymore to that side, but he can move back the other way. So that's pretty much how I've set that up. So let me show you what the code looks like for this. If we jump into the shooter model and go to, I've actually got another full FSM set up, And this is the cover system. This is the full cover system, which drives animations and handles the logic of detecting cover and moving into cover. So basically, this is all the math that I have going on. And I've written little explanations on what each thing is. So if you can see that. So let me just give you a quick breakdown of what each one is. We've got this first one is waiting for a collision with a coverable object. And the coverable objects are all pretty much untagged and set to the default layer. So that means any object in the environment he can interact with. Let me just lock this. And we've got some bools, so that will send bools to the animator so we can use them for conditions. I've got a object detection, which is that one, which is actually just in front of the player. Let me just move that out the way. Okay, let me come back here, and we've got the object detection, which is just in front of the character. So whenever we press B, it will shoot a ray, and that's what this guy's doing. So whenever we press B, here it will send a raycast. We'll shoot a raycast in front, and it will say whether it's in low cover or in high cover, and then it will actually detect if the cover is in range with that same object. It will then test the cover, so we'll fire another raycast, the high cover detector, and it will say if this ray hits a high object, then let him go into that animation. If not, we'll go into the low cover. So that's what that thing does. So then we can say go low or go high, and then once we go low, we have the smooth look at and move towards. So basically this makes sure he snaps the actual player sorry, it's got a bit of a clog through it, and he'll actually snap to the cover. So that's, he moves towards the cover, and he'll also smooth look at the cover. So that makes sure he always looks at the cover and he won't go off track. And then it will automatically go there after what, I think 1 second. And then we will raycast the left cover pop out, and then we'll raycast the right cover pop out. And then if there's no hit event, we'll say he's going to be popping out to the right, in which will trigger the right pop out. So that's what this guy does in here. So see how this is how we trigger this one to go in there. If I bring this guy down, that's how we have this condition. So when he's moving to the right, he will trigger that right pop out, so he can't move to the right anymore, hence stopping the character from moving that way. And pretty much vice versa for this other one as well, for the left. It's the exact same thing. So he'll set that, and then once he presses out, once you press B to go out of cover, we say not in cover, which is a global event, which we send from the movement, from these guys. So this is when you press B, it will shoot up to here and say to low cover. This will play all the animations, and that way you can still, this drives your character, so it's still sending the input floats, so then it can actually do the calculations inside of your animator. Now I might understand that this is quite a lot of information, so if you want me to break this down in like little bits in each tutorial going forward, I can do that for you, and I can give you scene files as well, which might help to put your own custom animations, or use my animations if you want me to put them on a store somewhere. Just let me know in the comments in the Patreon, or send me a message. And then, so it sends you to low cover. This is what we check for vaulting. So before I get more into the code of this, let me jump back to the cover system, and let me kind of bring this in here. Let me try and squeeze these guys around. Alright, let me bring this guy. I just want to try and get it so that way I can show you how the flow of it works while I'm playing. So, alright, now can I snap this here? Okay. Alright, now let me try. How do I know there's a way to make this shrink. You know what? I'm just gonna have it like that, so that way you can see generally what's happening. Oh, it disappeared. Okay, let me jump back. Okay, so this is the cover. So basically it's saying, okay, we can't detect any cover, although we're shooting rays forward. So when I go near cover, but I haven't pressed B, it's saying, okay, the cover's in range. So that's what we're seeing right now. The cover is in range. So the cover's not in range. So if I'm facing cover, it will say yes, no. And then if I press B, it will calculate using that top ray I was telling you about. And it would also shoot the bottom one at the same time to calculate the cover height. So if I press B, it said, okay, it's a low cover, so we'll go into the low. And now we're waiting to pop out. So if I move him to the left, okay, so I've hit the edge until I push back to the right. So okay, now we're back in normal low cover. If I go to the right, it will say to the right pop out. So I can't move right anymore. And then if I go to the movement, here you can see we're just sitting in low cover. And if I push forward on the controller, it's checking for a volt. So it's actually checking me to press A to actually allow it to volt. So see, and then if I push forward, it's returning back to cover. So that's just to make sure the system doesn't crash in an infinite loop, which is why I had to create two low covers. These two are exactly the same. And now if I press forward and A, it will play the volt animation, and then we will return back to the hub movement, in which we can now run around, roll, and jump. So if I give you the overview, so here we are, we jump, plays those animations, comes back, we can go into low cover, we can jump, we can run around to here, we can go into high cover, we can go around to these, we can pop out, we can go around, and that's, you can see the whole system working really fluently. So that is pretty much the whole overview of the cover system, and that's pretty much all there is to it. And what we have in these ones are, we have the animatable to let us know that we're in cover. So that's just another condition that we can say to differentiate between each thing. I can't remember what I've actually used that for though. Let me have a look. The different transitions, I've got that one. So that one's for aiming, so that way we have to push left and then the trigger in for him to pop out to aim. So yes, that's what those things are. We've got setting the animator float, so these are all the normal things that you find in the movement. Still to get same axis, set the input Z, controller, simple move, that this controller simple moves, make sure that you have the gravity for the character controller. That's what drives this. So if your character is coming, it's a very common thing to see your character coming down a slope and not actually going down the slope. He might kind of go vertically out. So if that's happening to your character, you need to come into this character controller and make, add it. So you come down to here, say add component, character controller, and bam, you have it in there. So that's how you get that guy in there. And then, oops, jump back in. What else do I have in here? I've got another ball for in cover. I think this actually drives from here. That way I can let all my other systems know that we're in cover. I think I set a ball in here somewhere. Set ball in low cover. So this actually gets sent to the movement system. So that way I know which cover system it should be in as well. What else do I have? Float compare. So this is basically comparing my vertical part of the controller. So if I'm pushing forward, if it's greater than 0.2, so the controller can go between 0 and 1. So if you go past 0.2, it's going to start checking for a volt. And then the only difference is this, you can have a get button down in here. Where is it? Get button down. And if you press A, he'll jump over and then play the volt animation. So set the animatable to can volt, which will then blend him into vaulting. And then he'll transition back to movement. And yeah, well, that's pretty much the whole cover system. And as I said, if you want me to really break it down, I can. So just let me know in the video descriptions or comments, or send me a message, and I will do my best to explain it furtherly in depth, and also provide scene examples for your enjoyment, and so you can play around with it yourself. Alright, well, thanks for watching this exclusive episode for my Patreon subscribers, and thank you so much for supporting me, and I will continue to deliver this great work, and I will try and help you guys out as much as I can. Alright, thanks guys, bye.